Well, it's almost very reflective of what's going on. Uh, Quite often, people go, oh, you know what? We're basically good people. We can take care of ourselves, and let's be on the honor system. And quite often, it backfires. And then you go, wow, how do we get? I mean, how do we get rid of all this violence and this and that and fear? And then, well, in the movies, it's always this mythic character, but in the end. Like, and I say to the people, you have to take care of yourself. That's what it's all about. So it's kind of a cautionary tale that when quite often you get rid of like your hero, and then maybe you need the hero back sometimes because you're just not ready to take on the responsibility. But in this particular case, he he had an issue that is so personal that he couldn't face the facts, and that's why he disappeared. And he thought, okay, why don't I just assume what people consider the most anonymous job in the world, a garbage man? Like no one pays any attention to these people. Yet when you think about them, without them, we're in big trouble. So there's all these metaphors in there. Well, I think there is a point where, okay, you can't do 29-year-old Rambo kind of a thing because you also have to honor who you are, your age. That's the part of it that you're not who you were, but you're still there. Actually, there's a line in there where you start to fall apart when you stop caring about everything, meaning life, yourself, everything. So I thought that this guy, his strength would be in his resolve, and he still has great physical power as opposed to speed. And he's not jumping through the air. He's not that kind of guy. He's like a very, very, very powerful individual that is still sort of in the world of reality a little bit. He can't fly. He can't see through, walls or whatever. Fire doesn't come out of his mouth. He's just a unique sort of superhero. He's almost like a modern day Hercules. He's that kind of a mythic hero. And I think those are ones that you can identify with. You say, oh, he can die. He gets hit enough, he's gone. Yes, there has been a tremendous accomplishment by certain directors and certain companies in Marvel and DC that have really pushed the universe to the max. I mean, everything that you could possibly imagine has been created. I always feel there's nothing quite as relatable as almost getting hit by a car or walking down a dark alley and what was that? There's a shadow coming behind you. That's very relatable. So what I'm trying to say in my awkward way is that we try to make the events and the danger plausible in a sense and identifiable that could happen to you. It's something that's very tangible. It's not from another universe. It's right here in the streets. So keep your guard up. That's it. It's just it could happen to you. It's like it's like what I tell my daughters all the time. Life today is one strike baseball. There is no three strikes. It's like you got to be looking all the time. And that's what I try to add to this, that there's a sense of impending danger, but it's real. It's not way over the top, just a little over the top, a little bit. Well, in all reality, the characters that I've been fortunate enough to be very successful at just don't fit into normalcy. He's not the cab driver. He's not the school teacher. There's an expectancy. And I hate to say it, but in a way, we become a brand or a product. And when the audience, they want to see, there's a reason they're going to that film. Some actors are unique that they blend in. They're character actors and they're really good at it. And some you don't blend in. You're a different, you actually, that's what you're lucky you don't blend in. And I thought, okay, people see you as Rambo, they see you as Rocky, they'll see you as Demolition Man. You'll see. So why not take that baggage, good baggage, not too heavy, and then add it into something in a new equation. You're bringing this young child, you're bringing the fact that you're dealing with all this regret and remorse, and you want to remain anonymous. But this, like I said, youth must be served. This kid is going to bring you out and show you who you are again. And I love it. It's kind of like he's resuscitating who I was born to be. Because this guy, this sort of superhero fan, is not, he, again, much more pedestrian. You could be standing next to him or riding next to him on an L or a bus and not even know you're sitting next to some fella here that can literally lift the bus up. Uh, there's there's a kind of simplicity to it, and it's a simmering boil, and that eventually erupts, as opposed to triumphant music and thing and special effects and thunder and guys hitting the ground with their fist, like kind of a seismic wave. So you can expect a hero that is very regular and does irregular things. That's what it is. Something that is, oh wow, he's kind of, it's not like if Rocky was a superhero. It's something that is identifiable and street like. It's not set in some super fantastic universe. It's set among brick and concrete and identifiable situations that we all, the neighborhoods we live in. And that's what I liked about it. The tug of good and evil is something that is just eternal, because it is the tug within us. We have, I don't want to give anything away, but we are so duplicitous. We can be the highest of angels and the lowest of devils, and it's all in the same body if pushed in a certain directions. It's like, how were you raised? What are your ethics? What sets you off and what breaks your heart? And it's this constant struggle. I looked at him as, oh God, this is the future. But I don't know if I want to belong to the future. And this kid just like pulling me back and say, stop being a coward. Be who you are. Save me. Be my father, is what he's saying. And I have nothing. As I said before, he's a lonely old man who is going into obscurity. He finds broken objects in the trash, which is symbolic of him. He's trying to fix, he can fix everything except himself. Along comes the young man, and he fixes me, unbeknownst to me, but he just pulls me along because I realize he's so vulnerable. I go, my God, I got to do something. This kid needs a father, and he's adopted me, and I have no choice. And then you see the hero aspect come out, whereas before I didn't care about anybody. I don't know, but I wish I would get over it. There was, I think, when I started, there was no real what I call action film. There were action beats, there were car chases, there's this and that, there'd be a fight. But I thought, wow, this is a genre that's really fascinating, where a real action film, you could turn the sound off and know what the story is just through physical movement. So when I did Rambo, I literally said, how the first blood, turn the sound off, people will know what the story is. That's when I realized how important this genre could be. And it was, and it's modern mythology. We need these stories cathartically, from Joseph Campbell's, Man of a Thousand Myths and all that stuff. I mean, every society needs these figures. It's almost as though, oh, they're gods. They're modern day godlike creatures. We've seen it from the Iliad and the Odyssey and Homer to present day Marvel. There's no difference. It's the same thing, except being presented through some CGI and the other one's on the written word. So I'm fascinated with the idea of being able to tell stories. The fact that the question comes from India, that it actually is understood by a culture, a different, complete culture, but they completely get it because we're hitting on the same sort of emotions that every human being on the planet shares, which is that fear, the loneliness, the heroism, the youth must be served, the father-like figure, all that stuff. I try to constantly, whenever I see an opening, I stick it in there. It's corny. People, it's kind of saccharine. Yeah, yeah. Call me a honey bear. I am completely saccharine. That's how I roll. Well, that I really love those. This I don't know if it taught me. It just reminded me how I like those characters that are always on the fringe but want to belong part of society. It goes back to John Rambo. It goes back like you think he's an outsider, but all he wants to do is come home and just be part of it. They don't quite know how, and this boy rekindles his humanity. So that's what I take away. It's always about humanity, man. Without humanity, think about, okay, I'm making this inhumane story. Anyone interested? No.